The first expensive thing I ever bought for myself was a coat. Dark wool, fitted, far beyond what I could responsibly afford at the time. I remember standing in front of the mirror while the saleswoman pinned the alterations into place and called it elegant. What she meant was expensive. There's a difference. I bought it anyway. I wanted to know if becoming someone else was possible. I was not poor growing up, that's important to clarify. People hear London debutante and imagine old estates and inherited certainty. We were newer than that. Money polished carefully enough to survive the scrutiny of older families. I learned very early that wealth has layers to it. There's the kind that buys beautiful things. Then there's the kind that decides who belongs in the room at all. My family had enough of the first to glimpse the second. The difference teaches a young woman quickly, especially when she's young enough to mistake observation for acceptance. I learned presentation long before I knew about thaumaturgy. How to stand, how to speak, how to survive being underestimated politely. Debutante culture is just warfare performed in silk gloves. London sharpened all of that into instinct. Private clubs where old men decided which families mattered. Gallery openings full of women beautiful enough to be decorative and dangerous enough to ruin each other quietly. Champagne, perfume, generational wealth sitting across from newer money pretending not to notice the difference. I always noticed. That was part of my first real education. Power. The subtle kind, the kind that never needs to raise its voice. And Vegas has sharpened that instinct even further. This city worships appearance openly and without shame. You can arrive draped in diamonds while your soul quietly rots underneath, and people will still compliment the cut of your gown. Especially Kindred. Ancient predators collecting watches they never wear, rings older than countries, tailored suits hiding monsters old enough to remember plague carts. We pretend refinement means restraint. Usually it just means the hunger learned table manners. Somewhere along the way, I found a set of keys inside the chantry, a silver Range Rover in the garage. Expensive enough to feel disrespectful. I never asked whose it had been originally. The registration was a woman's name I didn't recognize. In Vegas, ownership becomes blurry very quickly after death. I used it to go shopping sometimes. That still makes me laugh a little, driving through the city in someone else's luxury while spending money that no longer felt entirely real. The boutique I go to doesn't advertise publicly. That's part of the appeal. No website worth finding, no street-facing displays, just whispered recommendations, private emails, and waiting lists long enough to feel exclusive. You don't shop there because you're rich. You shop there because someone powerful decided you should be allowed to. The first appointment took weeks. Encrypted emails back and forth with an assistant who never used contractions and spoke like access itself was a favor being rationed very carefully. Measurements, preferences, references, a deposit large enough to feel vaguely criminal. Then more money for the late-night appointment after regular clientele hours. Privacy costs extra in Las Vegas. So does exclusivity. So does making sure no one important has to stand too close to someone merely wealthy. By the time I arrived, the door had already been unlocked for me. The doorman knew my name. The seamstress offered me champagne before speaking about fabric. The jeweler brought out pieces that had never touched the public floor. Everything about the experience was designed to create the same feeling. You belong here now. I tip everyone, the doorman, the seamstress, the jeweler, because that's how systems like this function. Money moves first. Respect follows afterward, pretending it arrived naturally. And somewhere in the middle of all of the silk and diamond light, I have realized something uncomfortable. I am good at this. The performance, the understanding that luxury is rarely about possession. It's about access. Who returns your emails? Who opens locked doors? Who pretends not to notice the blood on your hands because your shoes are beautiful enough to distract them? The dresses have become armor, control disguised as softness. Every detail chosen carefully enough that people underestimate me in exactly the way I intended. Too pretty, too delicate. That mistake has kept me from becoming Ash more than once. And somewhere along the way, I have started to enjoy it. That's the dangerous part. The realization that I like the weight of diamonds against my throat. I like the way red-bottomed heels sound on a marble floor. I like watching people recalculate me in real time. There is power in becoming unforgettable on purpose.